And we are back in Las Vegas. This is tnoozLIVE at Arival. We're very excited to have another interview, and it's kind of coming into day 2, and you're still here and I'm still here, so that's good.
Surprising.
Yeah, surprising, right? Do a quick introduction to the camera and let everyone know who you are.
I'm Lawrence Hester, co-founder and CEO of FareHarbor. My brother and I started the company just under 5 years ago.
I mean, yeah, 5 years. It seems we were just saying like it's a sweet spot. So why 5 years ago? What were some of the things, the conditions that made that so?
I think we started at exactly the right time, got really lucky. Stripe, who our credit card processor is, had just really started to blow up. Amazon Web Services, the iPhone. We started a few years after the iPhone had launched, and it was really starting to become a real product that people could use. We just happened to hit that sweet spot.
So you have the kind of last minute bookings kind of thing for travel, and then the ability to ramp up as you need. So like all these 3 pieces, and of course Stripe makes it really easy to take payments wherever, right? So
absolutely.
And it wasn't easy before Stripe. They really did a good job. So you've kind of got through a pretty good chunk of time now. Got some of the growing pains, or the early growing pains there, and now you're on to like the next phase of the growing pains. So what are you guys currently working on the next 6 to 12 months? What's the strategy like these days?
Yeah, right now we're 185 people, going to try to grow to just over 300 in the next year. And international is where a lot of that focus is going to be. I'm actually flying right from here to Australia. We'll be opening an office there very shortly, and same heading east into Europe.
So it's all at the same time?
Yeah, all at the same time.
So are you talking to some mentors and advisors to make sure that you kind of keep things consistent as you don't break too much shit, as you kind of go through?
Yeah, fortunately, yeah. Yeah, we're really fortunate to get to talk to people who've already been there, done that, so we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Yeah. Can figure out what they've already screwed up so that we don't have to make that same mistake. Been really lucky.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on, so it's about another 120 people in the next year, so how are you planning to add so many people and kind of keep your culture and also keep that focus on, what you guys are doing?
I think we have pretty amazing Kool-Aid over at FareHarbor. Mm-hmm. So part of it's going to be not hiring all 120 people all at once, smaller chunks and waves. And we finally have really gone out and defined our values. We hit that point where we said, not everybody knows who we are or why we're here or what we do every day. We've got to go ahead and define that. We have the culture, values, and missions docs, and that's really the first entire week of onboarding a new employee now, is making sure they understand what we're all about.
So basically you just grew. You started it, and then we did it, and then all of a sudden you looked up and there was 100 people around you and you realized, oh, we need to tell them stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
Because you just kind of have to make it happen, right?
Yeah.
So what are you looking forward to? And I guess we're at the end of the second day now, so you might have more perspective. This was the first event in destination. What have you learned the past couple of days? You're more excited about the industry. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely more excited about the industry. I think, there's not an event that we can have all these suppliers at. There are plenty of other conferences, but there's nothing really like the Arival event. And it's just so exciting to talk to people who are there interacting with the customers booking through our software. A guy I was talking to this morning said his favorite part of his day is putting a smile on 800 people's faces, which is just awesome. They've got 800 people going on their boats a day, and he wants every single one of them to get off that boat happy. And I think we kind of miss that every once in a while. We're also focused on technology, how we can help these businesses, but sometimes we lose sight of the fact that we're helping people get out there and enjoy what they really want to do while traveling.
So how do you reconcile that? Are you planning, having gotten that reminder again today, are you going to think maybe with these culture docs, try to infuse some of that supplier hospitality into your own company?
Absolutely. So part of our story is my brother and I ran our first client's business, North Shore Catamaran. And I think a lot of our employees, while they work with our clients, they've never really had that interaction with the end customer, the person booking the activity.
And having that high expectation of this should be great.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really going to be going home and trying to figure out how we can get our employees to maybe somehow be in our client's shoes or really interact with the people who are going on those tours. Maybe it means sending them out on all the tours.
Yeah. Or do you still have the catamaran company? Start that up and make everyone do a week every year. It could be kind of fun. It's almost like a Zappos kind of style. It's like training camp or some sort of thing like that. I think it's a pretty interesting insight, because I have asked some of the tech companies, if you have all these suppliers, how do you help the suppliers also be better at what they do? Because you guys probably learned a lot of customer service lessons. So have you guys thought about, or maybe you already do, with your suppliers as you onboard them, helping them also just serve more customers more effectively?
Yeah, we really think about our sales and onboarding team as activity consultants. As we're not looking at a sample size of one, we're looking at best practices across the industry. And we're working with just over 5,000 tour operators now, so we have a lot of data points that we can apply. And our account management team's job is to say, hey, this is working really well in Key West. Maybe it's something we can apply in Hawaii, and really working with the operators to maybe install those best practices.
And did the operators then get, because I haven't seen the operator backend, but that business intelligence side of things, how are you helping them just take some of the data that you guys have and not just like overwhelm them? Because I imagine most suppliers just, it's too much. Yeah, so what do you do for them on that side?
So we just launched a new product called Telescope that will help our suppliers better price their activities next season, next month, next year. And they're not going to be looking at all the data points we're pulling into our algorithm to figure out what's going on. It's really the idea that we can spit out one number with a confidence interval that they can understand. Same sort of thing when we talk to our suppliers about things like website conversions. How can we boil down this problem into simple language? Because not all of us are website experts.
Not many, actually.
Not
I imagine
many.
suppliers
Yeah.
like that. Otherwise, that's what they would do, right? That they want to do tours. I mean, that's what they want to do. So when you say the confidence interval, walk me through a little bit of that. That's very interesting. So basically, you look at demand curves. You're looking at things in the future that they may not even see across all your products and all that. And then just helping them understand that, look, demand is going up for your destination. Maybe you should raise prices $5, or how do you kind of work that out for them?
It's that, as well as we're looking at analytics across our platform. So we have we track every click on the checkout page, so we know whether or not one supplier's checkout page is actually being is going faster than another. So we're using those data points to say, hey, maybe you can raise your price. People don't need to think about buying this product. They just want to get out there and do it. But we also look across the entire industry into different categories. Scuba diving operators are operating at X% capacity in certain markets. And how can we take all of that data and empower people to raise or maybe even lower their prices?
And maybe even lower. That's interesting. You always hear like raise prices, but you also want to have that capacity, right? It's like if you're trying to hit 90% booked, you want to kind of have that balance.
Absolutely.
What about dynamic pricing? We talked a little bit the past few days about that. How's that playing into your product?
And to be honest, I really think that dynamic pricing isn't something a lot of our suppliers are going to be using anytime soon. And the reason is that 35% of our bookings on our platform happen same day, and over 60% happen in 72 hours. So you think about it, if you lowered your price significantly because you're only half full on a Saturday morning, it might actually turn out that the majority of your bookings happen within an hour of that activity time. So you'd end up discounting almost all of your bookings. Now we really think about is, if we have a large data set on tour operators and we know that Tuesdays are their least busy day, maybe what they should be doing is lowering prices for Tuesdays for the next year in order to entice people to go those days, instead of just dynamically pricing based on current demand.
So more chunking the dynamic pricing. Don't just do it like in that real-time way, but kind of think of it as seasonality or whatever it is that runs the business.
Absolutely.
I also wonder if tours could go the opposite too in some ways. If you book 2 weeks in advance, I'll give you like 20% off just to help me get my margin, right? Like this is the cost of the tour. So if I can get 7 people on it, I'm good. Yeah. And then the other people just are the ones it's like airplanes, right? Some people are definitely paying much less than you, usually.
Yeah, and I think a lot of tour operators would offer discounts in order to have those pre-sales. Yeah. They'd like to have some idea of who's coming on their activity earlier.
It'd be very stressful to me if it was an hour, if my habit of my customer was 1 hour beforehand. I mean, I guess you would just get used to it, that's the way it is, but every morning I'd probably be sitting there going, what if today's the day that it's not 1 hour before?
Sky's falling, you don't have anybody.
It's like, I don't know, am I going to be broke today? Yeah. So wrapping this up, kind of looking ahead in the next 2 to 3 years in tours and activities, it seems, in destination, as I prefer to call it, I try to get away from tours and activities. It seems like the market is growing immensely. Do you feel like plateaued, there's a ton of room to grow? What do you see for the future?
I think there's a ton of room to grow. At least in the United States, we see about 11,000 suppliers on a software currently, and about 15,000 are on pen and paper, proprietary, Microsoft Excel. Still today, I'd assume there's going to be some sort of acceleration in technology adoption. Abroad, the numbers are even worse. It's much more fragmented. There's a much smaller percentage of people on a software. I really think we're going to see the market change a lot in the next 2 to 3 years, more than we've seen in the last 5.
So accelerating.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, it seems like you're well positioned for that.
I hope so.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for sitting with me today.
Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
We'll be back in a few minutes after words from our sponsors. This is Nick Vivian. We are live in Las Vegas. See you soon.